Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. Todd Bookspan is not my wingman today. He is not the co-host today because Todd is the special guest today. So welcome our special guest, Mr. Win by Noon himself, Todd Bookspan. What's up, dude?
Dude, I am so excited to be here today. And, you kind of sprung it on me. Hey, let's make this a Win by Noon Friday. And, I think it's the right time to do it. And I just feel like I'm talking to so many people who've been running so fast for the last 14 months. And, you and I talked about it. We had Rich Davini on Tuesday, and he talked about how important self-care was. And we talked about how, our vacations last week really pumped us up. And I just thought, you know what, let's dig in and let's kind of help people really crush the second half of 2021. Like, let's wipe 2020 out of our memories. Let's get the first half of 2021 behind us. And let's really look at what we can do personally and professionally to get to the end of 2021 and be really proud of what we did.
I love that. And let's be really smart. So this is one of those things where when I interview the best of the best of the best, they plan, they document, they track how many leads they get, they track what their conversion rates are. There's just a lot of intention and planning that goes into the success that they have. So I am wearing a Win by Noon shirt today. So this is a Win by Noon Friday call. And this is the second day of the second half of the year. Yesterday was the first day. And I do know a lot of folks in our community, a lot of coaching programs that are in our community. They've got a lot of just rituals / rhythms that they did a week ago. They did 2 weeks ago where they were reviewing their plan. So if you are one of those people that have already done your mid-year review and your second half planning, kudos to you. We want to help fine tune that a little bit. Maybe we'll give you some ideas to think about that you didn't, or maybe it's just a reminder of what you already did. But for anyone who hasn't gone through some coaching, hasn't had that, we're just going to be here to make sure everybody in the mortgage coach community has one of America's best coaches, which Todd Bookspan is not only an example of someone who has run a platform that does 500 loans a year for many, many years. He was a building champions coach, and today he is Mr. Win by Noon. And I want to remind guys, the Win by Noon platform, it is coach agnostic. So there are a lot of different coaching programs that use the Win by Noon planner. There's a lot of realtors that use the Win by Noon planner. There are a lot of mortgage professionals. So Todd, let's just start off with how many people are using the Win by Noon planner to drive their planning today?
We should be at about almost 3,000 for the next quarter. We crested 2,500 coming into 2020, and it's really split almost evenly between real estate agents and loan officers. My goal is to have it up to 5,000 by the end of the year. So I'm really going to make a big push. And I definitely, before I go any further, I should start off and acknowledge a couple of things. Number one, the Win by Noon community. You guys have been awesome. I'm grateful for you. The Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind community. I'm grateful for you guys because I don't feel like without you interviewing me. Now, here's the crazy thing, Dave, and this is, of course, last but not least, I'm grateful for you and our friendship and what you've done to encourage me with Win by Noon. But this quarter marks the 4-year anniversary. So yesterday was the kickoff of the 4-year anniversary of Win by Noon. And
I did not know that.
I know that it wouldn't be what it is without you in this community, because I ordered 200 copies of the first one, and I thought, oh yeah, this would be fun for me and my friends. And I had a bunch of building champions clients who wanted it, and you forced me to show it here on a Friday call, and all of a sudden we sold out, and I had to order 300 more, and it's just kind of gone gangbusters from there. So I always want to acknowledge you and our community. I'm just super grateful for all of you, because without you in this community, I know Win by Noon wouldn't be what it is now. And so it's been a fun journey. And the fact that we've grown out of mortgage and into real estate has been a lot of fun. And, we've even seen that with, growing from the Modern Mortgage Summit to the Modern Real Estate Summit, and, just sort of this crossover, because I think it's really important to this community to be, continue to connect and continue to add value into that real estate community as well. And so I love the fact that for a lot of you, that Win by Noon is part of that oil that greases the wheels to make those relationships thrive.
Yeah, well, dude, it's been a complete win-win. The value you've created in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, there would not be a Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind Facebook had it not been for you and I partnering with the Darren Hardy program. And, today this Facebook group just drives, immeasurable value to not only Mortgage Coach, but to, over 10,000 loan officers. I think, what is it, like 12 or 13 loan officers that are pretty active in this group. So thank you, Todd. I do want everybody to reflect on what Todd said, that he's got over 1,000, let's just say 1,500 realtors using this planner. And he's got over 1,000 mortgage professionals using this planner. Guys, that's an opportunity for you. Not only should you be using this planner, influenced by this planner, and even if you don't, like you use a journal or some other augmented way of planning, guys, represent. There's also a Win by Noon store. You can get a mug, you get a coffee cup, you can get a hat, you can get shirts, because winning by noon is the big idea here. The planner, it's like, hey, if you want to really dig into Todd Bookspan and the Win by Noon framework and use it to drive your day, use it to plan your week, use it to plan your month, great. But if you just want to, hey, I want a reminder, I need some stickers. I've got right here, the company I own and Mortgage Coach, my baby. I've got Win by Noon. And then of course I got the Miracle Morning. I need to remember to have a miracle morning. So just get a sticker, represent, check out the store. So guys, we're 6 minutes into this. I want to make sure we make this a very tactical planning conversation. I also want to make this a very interactive conversation. One of my goals is literally to make this the most interactive Friday mastermind we've ever had. That means questions from you and comments from you, or when we ask you a question, you give us a yes, you give us a no, you give us a little tweet. And so when we promoted this on our Facebook group, we said, what has gone right this year? So like, pause, what's gone right? What are you doing best this year? And if you want to share something, like what's going right, because I know a lot of folks that are beating last year. So if you want to just brag that, what, I'm doing more business this year than I did last year, and that's what's gone right, put it down. If it's you killed it with realtors and you've got 3 new realtor partners and that's what's going right, put it in chat, whether you're in Facebook group, whether you're in our I guess Facebook Live, or Zoom. What went right? What isn't going so well? And what can you improve? So I would love to get some interaction from everyone, so I at least could bring that into the conversation with Todd. So Todd, let's transition to where you're going to take us through a mid-year planning session. Where do you want to start? Like when you start doing, as Mr. Win by Noon, mid-year planning, do you start by reviewing the first half? Where do we start?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always have to ask yourself, how am I doing, right? How are you is the question that I would ask if I was sitting down with you and we were gonna do this in person or we were doing it over the phone. And you really can't figure out where you're going unless you're looking at the past. So when you talk about this whole idea, and a lot of this, so some of this stuff I'll be giving you guys for free. It's obviousobviously built into the planner. So like I'll share my screen real quick and I'll post this form into the group once we get done. But it's one of my favorite tools. It's just called the Keep, Improve, Start, Stop, right? KISS. Can you see that, Dave?
I can.
All right, perfect. Because I'm seeing something different on my screen. But ultimately, when you think about it, it's one of these things where, if I would start with this and I would actually print out a few of these. And I would be looking at this in different areas of my life, right? I would be looking at it in business. I would be looking at it in my self-care, right? We just know how that important that is, right? We've had Jonathan Roach on here talking about it. We had Rick Davini talking about it from a Navy SEALs perspective. And then I would maybe look at it from relationships, right? How are you doing with those others around you who are super important? And then spend some time on each one and, pick some categories. And you're going to spend time thinking about, what worked for me last month or last quarter. In this case, you just do it for the last 6 months. And because ultimately you want to look at, what's working. So put on my loan officer hat for a second. And what I'm going to look at is what are where did my business come from, right? Flat out, just where did it come from? Am I doing lead generation? Is that working? Yes or no, right? Am I investing money? You absolutely should stop doing something that's not working and start doing, keep doing something that is. Look at it from the perspective of your team, right? What's working on my team? What's working in my process? What's working in my relationships, right? Where did my business come from, right? And stay focused on that, because most people overlook this part, but if you really aren't paying attention to what's working, what's driving your growth and revenue, then you're oftentimes going to be focusing on the improving and the starting. And that is going to allow the other things that we're working to actually, possibly diminish. I like this idea of improve. So originally these were called keep, start, stops. And I like the idea of that you can actually improve. So that is, what do I need to work on? Let me just talk about this and then I'll unshare it. What activities, projects, or habits do I need to start doing? And then lastly, what didn't work and should I stop doing? So, again, I talking about the key part, I feel like, you got to look at what worked. I typically go, ironically, even though it's last, I go next to what's the stop part, right? Where are my roadblocks and my hurdles? And so part of Win by Noon is at the end of every month, the end of every week, it says, hey, what are my roadblocks and hurdles? And again, you sometimes have to get out of your own way and look at what is it that I want to stop doing in that area. So in your business, again, it could be a relationship that you've been pursuing. It could be a realtor that you've been working with, but only sends you bad credit clients. It could be a realtor that you're working with who, gives out 3 cards. It could be a realtor that you're working with who, only uses you for their hardest transactions that, their other lender can't get done. It could be a lead generation tool that you're spending money on that's not working. And just look at what it is that, that you're doing. Is it something your team is doing in your process? And so you got to look at that stop part. And then in between is the improve part, right? Like, what do you want to keep doing, but could be better, right? And, I don't know who originally put that in there. I think it was Todd Mosetter, who's one of the geniuses over at Building Champions, who originally sharpened me on doing the improve part of it. But I mean, think about that. You have things that are working and they could be working better, right? And so spend some time thinking on it. And that'll help. And then lastly is the start part. And that's where, oh, look, there's a bird, right? We're all in this shiny object syndrome in the mortgage business. And, we all know it. You get, Scott Nicholson on here talking about Lender Launchpad. You're like, I got to get that. And you probably do need it, but not if you're not going to actually be committed to figuring out how to implement it and make it work, right? I see too many people jump in to too many things, and therefore, because they jump into too many things, they do it all half-assed, right? You don't want to be that person who does it half-assed. So you're going to look at what you're going to start doing, and you're going to decide, when am I going to start doing it? So I'll talk about that part in the planning piece. But, ultimately, Dave, where I start off is this whole idea of review, because, it's the same thing. I'm a big Phoenix Suns fan, right? I got my Devin Booker bobblehead. I'm sorry to Southwest Airlines. He's now sponsored by Win by Noon. It's the first thing that the coach said after they lost to the Clippers in the 5th game was, he said, we're going to go back and we're going to study tape, right? So they're going to actually look at the game and they're going to review it to see how they could come back and win the next game, which they did, to go on into the finals. And you need to do that too. And this is the perfect tool for it. But if you don't actually schedule time around it, I think one of the words that I use a lot is intention, right? Be intentional, intentionality. Because if you're not intentional and you don't schedule the time for this, then it's not going to happen. So I'll load up this form once we get done into the group. You've got a 3-day weekend coming up. I want you to be unplugged, focused on your family and your own fun. However, maybe you wake up early one morning, grab a little cup of coffee, and just spend an hour doing review and see how that looks. So that's where I'd start, Dave.
So love that. So I'm going to push a poll question real quick. Remember, guys, I want to make this the most interactive call ever, and don't have as many questions as I'd love to have, but I would love if everybody voted on this. How are you doing this year? And the options are, I'm doing better this year, or I'm behind last year. And let's remember, guys, last year was an absolute record-breaking year in the mortgage business. There is $1 trillion less in refinances this year. Purchases are up, but every time I interview a top producer and I say, how hard is it to close a purchase this year versus last year? And the answers range from 5 times harder to 10 times harder. because of the inventory issue. So far, a pretty good number of you guys have voted. So thank you for everyone that has voted, and 70% are doing better. So great job. 30% aren't. By the way, guys, it's 56% of you have voted. Let's get that up to 70%. So anyone who's kind of holding out, I'm not tracking your name here. So we're not gonna call you out if you voted. I'm not doing as well as last year. And I don't think there's any shame in it, knowing where the business is. So let me just show the results to everyone. Boom. There you have it, guys. 70% of folks said they're doing better this year. 30% aren't. Todd, any comments or questions on that?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I saw something, and I don't remember who put it out. I'll see if I can find the graphic and post it in the group. But I saw something that showed originations from last year, kind of year over year. And, essentially, I should make sure it's not proprietary. If it's not proprietary to the person who sent it to me, I will do it. But it showed that it was their lock volume, and it showed lock volume skyrocketed, for, right after rates dropped when COVID hit. And then it really showed that it kind of stayed steady and went up and down. And then at the end of the year started going down and has gone down, steadily this year. And so, if you're in the 30%, don't be shocked. But the 70%, I'm more worried about you guys, believe it or not, than I am about the other 30%. And the reason why is because, I know that most of the people I talked to did more than 70% of their business in the second half of the year last year. And so this is the time where you can't take your time off the ball. You really have to be laser focused on that future facing part of you to make sure that you keep your foot on the gas to get there. Because, again, I'll share openly about my team. My team is, crushing it right now. I mean, we're double where we were last year up to this point. But guess what? We crushed it the second half of the year last year, and we're probably not going to do as well in this year as we did last year, unless my loan officers on my team put their foot on the gas and really get intentional about putting some fuel on the fire on their purchase business. And my team is a highly purchase driven team. And so you have to keep that in mind. If you looked at the jobs report this morning, there was only a couple of sectors that lost jobs. The construction sector, I was shocked, lost 7,000 jobs. I'm thinking, no, they're already all behind building houses. So how is that possible? But there was another one, it was called financial activities, that lost 1,000 jobs. Wonder what some of those financial activities are. I'm guessing that loan officers, bank employees, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like bank tellers. I mean, I think ATM, you could deposit a check with your iPhone now or whatever phone you have. So that's interesting. I didn't know that stat, Todd.
I saw it and I thought, you know what, that's something where I know there's going to be people. I don't think it's you in this group. I don't. But I still think you're going to know people who in the next 6 months get out of this business. I believe that wholeheartedly because, it's hard right now to close purchases and you have everyone now making that journey. And so, I would like to say when you print out the keep, improve, start, stop, that one of your starts or one of your improves is going to be, the number of realtor relationships you have. I mean, absolutely. You've got to have that.
Hey, real quick, Todd, there was a couple of comments. Steve K, what Todd showed you will be available in the group. So it'll be in the file section. He's going to have to leave in a minute, Todd. So I wanted to make sure Steve got that. Also, Todd is going to tell you guys about a new product within Win by Noon that if you're a mortgage coach or you're a leader who manages mortgage coaches, you are going to love the product announcement that Todd has to share. And it's going to be amazing. And there's going to be a premium version that you can buy. And I'll give you a hint that you can put on your wall in your office. And then there's going to be a free version that you can get a PDF. It's not going to be nearly as cool. It's going to be like 100th as cool as the wall version, but just stay tuned. So Steve, if you have to jump, come back and hear about the product announcement. Also want to reward, hey, Carrie Collins, thank you for posting. 96% versus last year. My biggest issue is following up on all the leads I'm receiving. My son just joined my company, so integrating him is important to improve this process. Carrie, congratulations on having your son join the business. I interviewed Dave Gallegos on Monday of this week, or maybe it was Tuesday. Must watch. It was all about how to bring new people into the business. It is available right now in our Facebook group. I think it's towards the top here, and it will be in our YouTube channel by Monday. But it's basically how to rapidly make new loan officers successful, how to train them and make them successful quickly. So check that out. And then Frank, better than last year, but based on new goals this year, I'm 85% on track. Great job, Frank. Back to you, Todd.
All right. So yeah, real quick, let me share this too. So just for those of you who aren't planner users, so, this is what's built in to the end of the planner. So you can see here, it's got the keep, improve, start, stop built in there. And it's got your monthly progress on your big 3 goals. So this is a monthly review that I'm showing here. And just, basically this is, it's a reminder. I would like to tell you that everyone who uses Win by Noon, nails it on these things. But, again, I'm a realist and know that people get busy and they don't intentionally set the time to do it. I mean, at the end of the quarter, my favorite part is filling your bucket, right? What are the memories I created in the quarter? What are my personal accomplishments, business accomplishments, other things that I don't want to forget? And then other, again, areas for growth and improvement. And the reason that I built that into the planner is because when I was part of the Masters coach at Building Champions, every year we would sit out on the beach, and typically in California. And one year we were fortunate enough to do in Hawaii. And we would look at our year, primarily our personal life for the year. And what I found is that when they created a journal where I could write in what did it look like with my family? What did I accomplish personally? And I found that when I would go back the next year to do that planning, having written down those memories was really important. And it's part of the reason that, even day to day and Win by Noon, it's got what were the highs of my day. And I just love looking back. I can go into an old quarter and see, well, what was I doing? What was that was great last quarter? Because I feel like, after talking with Rich Davini about it on Tuesday, it re-cemented my commitment to not just focusing on people's business, but also, making sure we're all focusing on life as well. And so, I think you've got to take some time right now and, staying on the business thing, again, is what are your business goals, right? I know you've got a goal. I love it that we've got people here in the group who can say I'm 85 to 86% on track, right? That tells me that you're doing a great job of knowing your numbers. And if you're someone who's not, you don't need Win by Noon or any other fancy program to track your numbers, right? A tool like Win by Noon helps you do it, but you can do it. You've got your number somewhere else. And I would implore you, if you look at your last 6 months and look at your loans closed, and then if you didn't set a goal for 2021, hopefully you did. Hopefully you said, hey, I'm going to do 100 loans, and hopefully you're over 50 loans now. But let's pretend you're at 50 loans now and you didn't even set a goal for yourself. I want you to sit down and really dig in and say, okay, how am I going to do it? Am I going to really push myself? Am I going to shoot for 75 goals, 75 loans as my new goal in this quarter? Next 2 quarters, am I going to just look to repeat, do another 50 to hit my 100, hit 100? I got some people who I know who are going to do a layup. They're going to, I'm just going to go for 40 and I'll set a stretch goal of 50. I'm not going to, give you a hard time for how you're going to set that up. But the next part is really digging in on what's your goal. And so as you know what that new goal is and you're looking at it, and again, for me personally, I'm dividing it up into different areas. I'm dividing it up into business. I'm dividing up into my health and self-care. We've talked a lot about that in the group over the last year. And Dave and I have even interviewed Kevin Kaufman, who's a buddy of mine, and really we just talked about our health for an hour. And it was a very popular episode. And so again, I'm looking at it from that standpoint. What do I want to look like physically? What do I want to do exercise-wise between now and the end of the year? What does that goal look like? And then really my relationships one is my biggest, because I feel like for me personally, and for a lot of you, that relationships is what has really suffered the most with COVID. And I don't know. You tell me. And then I think it just comes down to intentionality. And I don't think you can sit there and go, I'm gonna have 4 new friends by the end of next year. But what you can do is you can look at who are my most critical relationships right now, right? Who are those people, who are important to you? And again, it's going to sound weird. So it's kind of one of these things. I'll show you guys another thing in Win by Noon. That's part of the front of it. And again, you don't need Win by Noon to do this. I'm just showing it to you so you can kind of see it. But Adam put it in here, and it's at the bottom of the initial goal page. And it's got this critical relationships. And I found for me during COVID, I wasn't good with my critical relationships because some of them happened, naturally because I would be at events and see those people, but I had to go out and be more intentional about who it was I was going to keep in contact with. And so where at first I was like, I don't know if I love that, it actually became one of my most important parts of Win by Noon as I went through. And again, you can do that. Take a piece of paper and write, who is it that you want to be intentional with? Personally, my father got pneumonia, was in the hospital for 6 weeks last year and almost didn't make it. And you know what? I've enjoyed this week calling him almost every day and having a 5 to 10 minute conversation just to see what he's doing. That's critical relationship, right? Who do you have that you haven't been as intentional around? And so I would write down that word intentionality, being intentional. I would write down business, self, relationships, and then any other area that you want to focus on, right? For me, each of those has different pillars, right? So let's look at business for a minute. For me in business, it's what do I want Win by Noon to do, right? I told you I want to grow it to 5,000 members by the end of the year. What do I want my team to do? I want my team to do $150 million of production this year, 550 loans. Can we do it? Yes. We're over halfway there. You got to measure it, right? What gets measured gets done. And so, those are two of my goals. Dave and I will be hosting the Modern Mortgage Summit and another Modern Real Estate Summit this year. Guess what? Got business goals around that, about the number of you we want to attend, the number of real estate agents we want on the real estate event, and how we want that to happen. Again, I talked about self-care, briefly. For me, transparently, I want to lose 5 pounds between now and the end of the year. I'm not in any hurry to do it. How am I going to do it? I've got a nutrition plan, right? So on that page I just showed you in Win by Noon, it talks about what are my commitments. And again, I'm super nerdy, right? It's what are my commitments from intermittent fasting? What are my commitments from a calorie perspective? What's my commitments from a percentage of my nutrients? I mean, I'm taking it to a little higher level, but I've got a coach for that. And so that's what I do. And then lastly is on the relationships. Like I said, I mentioned my father, right? My father doesn't know. I don't think he's going to watch this. Maybe if he does, hey, Dad. But, I'm going to be super intentional. 5 days a week, I'm going to make sure I call my dad and my mom, by the way. And then also get together with them at least once a week, right? We're fortunate to live in the same town and make sure I'm intentional about that. And I think you need to look at that. And then if you've done, I'll give you a breather in 1 second, David. So one is you're going to do the keep, improve, start, stop. We're looking backwards, right? We're looking over here. Then we're going to look at our goals, right? Where we're trying to go, and we're trying to get over to the future. And then in between here is the gap. And I'm a glass half full guy, not a glass half empty guy. So that gap is your opportunity gap, right? And so that's really what we want to start looking at for the second half of this call, is then if we can identify where we are, we can identify where we want to go in whatever categories you choose to do it. Then and only then can we figure out what we need to do this week, what we need to do today in order to bridge that opportunity gap. Because what I want is at the end of the year, I want you to say, this is my best year ever. My wife and I, we're supposed to be sitting on the Oregon coast right now in our Airstream. And because of things going on in our personal life with our family, guess what? I'm in the 115-degree desert of Arizona. And I could be crying and woe is me. That's sad. But you know what? My wife and I went on a walk the other night when it was 106 at 8:00. And I just said, you know what? Let's make this the best quarter ever. Like, what would that look like to you? And we went through this exact thing while we were walking, and I'm going to encourage you to do it as well.
Guys, so much wisdom in what Todd's saying, but it's only valuable if you put it into action. You take good notes, you schedule time. One of the things he said early in the conversation is, even though this is a vacation weekend, be a rock star, get your recovery, have a lot of incredible family experiences, but maybe schedule a jam session where, if you haven't already reviewed the first half of the year and kind of like, what went right, what went wrong, what can I do better? Don't fire hose yourself. Have 1 to 3 things that you can do better. And then, of course, if you don't make a plan, it's not going to get better. So super, super important, super, super valuable. Do want to remind folks, this is being recorded. It will be in the YouTube channel for anyone that wants to share this with another loan officer, or you mentor and manage loan officers. We hope you're using this content for your meetings. And I'm just going to expect that after this week, everybody in the mortgage coach community, whether you have a professional coach, whether you coach yourself, at least we've shared best practices on what do the most elite loan officers in America do at halftime. and it is halftime. Actually, we're getting ready to go back into the game. I would say after the 4th of July, it's game on for the second half. These first couple days of the month, 4th of July weekend, we can have a little bit of fun. We can be a little sloppy, but the 6th, game on. So Todd, let's kind of go into that game on, the 6th. How does an elite win by noon professional start on that first day of the second half? And let's just assume that's the 6th. What does a winning week look like? What does a winning day look like? If you don't mind putting a little meat on the bones there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think next week starts today. And the reason I say that is because what I want to do is I want to go into this 3-day weekend being present, being unplugged, and not thinking about work. And I know that if I don't plan today for next week, then I'm going to probably have creeping in the back of my head while I'm sitting at the pool with my daughter, going, you know what, I need to, I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I tell Dave this on Tuesday. And so I want to already set that framework up. So I would tell you that the highest level of athletes, the highest level of business professionals all plan ahead. And I think the best day to do is on Friday. Now, again, do I always do it on Friday? No, sometimes I might do it on my coffee morning on a Saturday or Sunday, do my ideal week, but I would encourage you ahead of going into a 3-day weekend. This afternoon, I hate to tell you this, it's probably going to be slow for you. Your realtors are all getting ready to pack out of town if they haven't. Your clients are already packed out of town. If you're lucky, you'll have a client or two out shopping this weekend and you're busy this afternoon. Great, good for you. But for the rest of you, you know what? Why not spend an hour this afternoon just looking at next week? Maybe start the planning we talked about, but I would be looking now about what my week looks like, and you have to be really intentional about it. And so, again, just get out any calendar that you want. For me, obviously, I'm using, Win by Noon, and it's built into the planner where you can actually write out what your week looks like. But you can get any calendar to do this. Before I had Win by Noon, let me see if no, my prop isn't here. But I literally just did it in a notebook. I printed out my Outlook. So on Friday, I would print out my Outlook calendar for the next week or two sometimes. And then I would go in there and write what's important. One of the things that you can find in the Facebook group is this ideal week that I created for loan officers. And, shout out, I got a bunch of people that use it as their screensaver, have it on their walls. We sent it out as 11 by 17, a couple of times to Win by Noon users, but this would be how I would set up my week as a loan officer. I'll spend a minute and kind of just walk you through it, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. I think the biggest thing when I'm talking about being intentional about next week is, thinking about what are the big rocks that I have first, right? You guys have heard that story before, right? You got to put the rocks in the jar first. If you put the sand in, you can't get in more rocks, right? So you put the big rocks in. And so that could be a great meeting you have with a real estate agent. For me, guess what? It's my mortgage coach call on Friday. It's my coaching call on Tuesday. It's my clubhouse I'm doing on Wednesdays. It's all those things that I've committed to. They go on the calendar first. Actually, they go on second. I lied. First is my family commitment. So like I know on Tuesday, I'm taking my daughter to a doctor's appointment on Tuesday at 2:00. And so again, family goes first. Those are my biggest rocks. Then all my work big rocks. And then I fill in everything around that. And obviously the philosophy of Win by Noon is do what's most important first. And you guys have heard me say it before. And that's why I showed the graphic, and I'll re-put it in the files if you guys can't find it. But you got to do the most important things first every day. And I feel like as you head into the second half of the year, we've talked about it a bunch. It's no surprise refis are down and you got to focus on your realtor relationships. And so where I normally say that Thursday is your day for calling realtors, and I normally say that Friday you could do some prospecting after your annual mortgage reviews, you're going to hear me talk about the fact that I think in July, let's take this challenge on. In fact, I'll talk about my new product here. In July, I would encourage you to every single day be prospecting new realtors, and you can pick a number, whether you want to say, I'm going to call 1 new realtor a day, 5 new realtors a day would be pretty brave. But I think every day you've got to have that on your calendar. So you do your most important things first, that are all the Win by Noon stuff, right? Call your leads that haven't converted you, call your pre-qualifications that you haven't issued pre-quals for. And then throw out the rest of the stuff for now and just look at, if you're going to grow your business, I think there's 2 ways you're going to do it. Number one is going after new real estate agents and scheduling time for that. And then number two is doing annual mortgage reviews. And so, even though I stopped coaching, I still have one group of 3 people that won't let me fire them as clients. And we do a biweekly 1-hour Zoom call, the 3 of us, the 4 of us. And we've been doing it now for a couple of years. And it's just one of my happy places. And so one of the guys on there was talking about how he was challenged one of his realtors to do a CMA a day. So CMA, comparative market analysis, right? You guys all know what that is. And this guy was committed where he did a video and sent a CMA where he took some time, again, took him 5 minutes, not an hour, 5 minutes. And he did the CMA a day. And so what he was doing was emailing it to the client and with the video, and then he would call him. And then if he got the client, great, he would walk them through what they were getting. And if he didn't get them, then they got the video of what it was that he had put together for him. And guess what he did? $11 million in sales. He doubled his sales by doing CMA a day. And so of course I go, gosh, you know what? CMA, that sounds pretty familiar to something that you guys in this community, and certainly Dave knows and loves. And so here's the big reveal. Ready? TCA a day. This, I think, is your trick for you to do $11 million extra. So check this thing out. What do you guys think about that? Hanging on your wall. And it's just for the next quarter, and it'll give you put your goals on there, and then every day you check off that you did a CMA. Of course, it's win by noon driven, so it still has how many calls did I make and how many people did I talk to. But we didn't totally win by noon it. We made it mortgage coach-ish. And so what's cool about it is you have the TCA a day on one side, and guess what? On the other side, you have the CMA a day for your real estate agents. And so swipe and adapt, that's what we do in this business. And so when I heard about this realtor who basically doubled his business by committing to once a day doing a CMA, I thought, gosh, you know what? We should be doing an annual mortgage review a day. And the best part about it is it's super easy, right? You've got clients and they all have lower loans now. I know you're not going to get refis out of them, but you're going to be adding value to your clients, and we're going to go through it. And so I will, here's the link to get it. It's just winbynoon.com/TCA. So I'll put it up for free. You can print it out. As Dave said, it'd only be 1/100th. That's cool, but I'll put it up for free so you guys can print it out and hang it on your wall if you want. But this thing is 22 by 17. It's pretty big. It folds out 4 times. And we're making it cheap, $5 if you want one, or you can buy a 5-pack for $20. So that way you can get your realtors going on it. Or if you're a branch manager, you can get your branch on it or your team going on it. So, yeah, I'm just super excited about that. So that's, I guess, Dave, a really, 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 really long-winded way of talking about what I would be doing right now if I was a loan officer to crush the second half of the year.
All right, guys, let's review. Number 1, make sure you're calling new realtors. Number 2, if you're a realtor, do a CMA a day. And if you're a mortgage professional, do at least one TC or what realtor CMA, loan officer TCA, put it on your wall, mark it. How many did you do? Check this out, guys. It's got week 1. How many TCAs did you do on Monday? How many calls did you make? How many pre-quals did you do? So it's got the 3 metrics that drive success. For your agents, it's got CMAs, it's got calls, and it's got quality conversations. So to me, guys, this is a no-brainer. And one of our goals, Todd and I, are always dedicated to your success. Some of that is just reminding you about things that you already know. If nothing else, put this on your wall. It's going to remind you what you need to do. So I can't emphasize enough. I mean, my hope is that you guys go nuts and not, I don't think Todd's got a lot of margin built into selling these things for $5. It's to create impact. And we know that if you do a TCA a day as a mortgage professional, and if the agents you serve do a CMA a day, we know that nothing is going to create more impact than your ability to do that. So we want to remind you to do that. We want to give you a framework to do that, and sign up for it. So I do want to just get a feeling for how many people are going to be like, I'm on that. That makes sense. So I know how many people are on this call right now. I'm going to push a little poll question. So if it's like, hell yes, I am doing this thing, let us know. If it's no, it's not for you. By the way, I don't know who clicked no just now. Someone clicked no. Thank you for your honesty. Someone, 20% of people are saying maybe. 71% are saying hell yes. Only about 50% of you have voted. So guys, give us the vote. I just want to know, are you doing this thing? And if it is a no, I would love to personally know why not in any judgment way. So please email me, Dave@Mortgage Coach. I would just love to know the thinking behind the no. Well, Todd, we've got 61% of the folks that have said hell yes. We've got 33% that are maybe, and we've got less than 10% that have said no. So I think we drove a great message here.
Well, and I agree with you. And I don't think it's for everybody, but I would argue
No,
that,
it's for everybody.
well, that's what I say. I would argue maybe it is though, right? Because, in the end, the reason in a game that they keep a scoreboard up is so that you know where you are. The reason that you do a weekly, monthly, quarterly review is because you want to see where are you now compared to where you want to get at the end of the year. I mean, there's no one's ever going to argue with me that by keeping score and looking at their numbers week in and week out, that they're going to be less likely to hit their goals at the end of the year, because those who look at it week in and week out are making the tweaks each week and aren't halfway through the year without have actually spent the time doing it. And so I think the real key is it's not that hard, right? And so let me throw out there, Dave, how I would do the TCA a day if it was me, and then you can kind of sharpen me. Some of you may know this, but prior to me and Dave being bros and us doing this, I was the guy that when Dave wanted someone to come on and talk about annual mortgage reviews, I was the person who came on to the Mortgage Coach and did calls around mortgage reviews. And it's just one of those things that helped me grow a business that still is consistent today without me being in the business, with my team running and doing everything that they're doing. And so for all of you, again, it's your whole goal is to be that trusted advisor of your client. And you've got all their data. All I would be doing is looking now, and I would start off with everyone I did a loan for in the first half of last year, and I would prioritize those people. And, ironically, if you look at someone who you did a loan for in January, February of last year, you actually may have a refinance opportunity. You may have an opportunity to help them remove mortgage insurance, right? You have some opportunities in there, but all I would be doing literally is, hopefully you did a TCA before. I would be finding that TCA. I would go looking at what was the loan that they actually closed. I would I would update the TCA to have that loan on there as their current loan. And, again, I'm not telling you to call the client, ask them if they're making extra payments or anything like that. And then I would create whatever scenarios you choose that you're going to put as the other scenarios. If there's an opportunity for them, to get rid of mortgage insurance, do that. Let's just pretend though that you did their loan and it's at 2.5%. I would put a loan, I would say current market. I would put showing that they're got a better loan than that. And I would probably put in a shorter, a 20 or 15 year to show them, hey, here's how you could pay off your house faster. And then I would maybe do the last column of their current loan with them making extra payments. What would you sharpen that, Dave? How would you do a TCA annual mortgage review with clients who already have lower interest rates?
So I'm going to answer that briefly, but guys, you have a pre-approval funnel, and you could go and update a TCA for all your pre-approvals. If you're not using Mortgage Coach today, I always say the best place to start is go to your pre-approval funnel and use it as an engagement tool and a value-added tool, and go to all your fence sitting refis and do that. So a TCA a day is easy you're a brand new loan officer. It's your first month in the business, or maybe your second month in the business. Listen to the interview with Dave Gallegos, but he makes everyone who goes to work for him, they've got a list of 150 people before they start. And by the end of the first 30 days, they have a list of 300 people. And now you just start calling those people. Hey, I need your help. I need to practice doing a rent versus own for all your renter friends. Will you help me practice TCA a day? For everyone that's a friend that's a homeowner, hey, I need to practice my move up analysis. TCA a day. You do enough of those, some of those turn into people that want to move up that you bring back to realtors. So that's my quick TCA a day. Guys, this is a home run. If you're a branch manager, buy one for your branch. And then I love what Greg Prete said. He's like, I'm going to buy 30 of these things. And here's the deal, guys. What makes this planner so awesome, when Todd showed it to me, I was like, I love this. is one side is a TCA a day, one side is a CMA a day. Guys, that's a real estate conversation. So Todd said, number one, you got to call new realtors. Guys, call realtors, bring one of these to the meeting. Guys, they all know that they need to be doing CMAs. Like, this is not new information. And you've got something to give them that will help them remember to do that CMA. So buy these for your real estate agents. And then, what's also really cool about it? On the other side, it says TCA. And what if the realtor goes, what's a TCA? Well, I'm glad you asked me. And then you go into your mortgage coach story. So what an awesome real estate engagement tool for starting on the 6th. I don't know that we could get these things delivered to you by the 6th. So just setting expectations, you can buy them. I'll ask Todd in a minute, when does he expect these to ship? But guys, you could make the second half of the year. Remember, last year, first quarter, not so great. By June, we were killing it, but the second half of the year is why last year was what it was. We're giving you guys an opportunity to go out and engage with realtors for the second half of the year, have a great conversation, and just the TCA CMA conversation alone is worth the $5. Forget about the piece of paper. That conversation is worth money. So branch managers, make note of that. Buy it for your branch, do a meeting around this. Todd, I think obviously we knew that this was a really badass product to launch from the Win by Noon community, but I have a feeling it's even bigger than we realized. We might want to create some micro content around this. So keep an eye out. Todd and I might take from the conversation and create a video that's like 3 to 5 minutes that will tell all of your loan officers why they need to buy this platform and why they need to have this conversation. So keep an eye out for that in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel and forward that to your team. So Todd, those are my thoughts. I know we're getting some questions. Greg, well, first of all, before I bring in Greg Prete's question, and Greg, thank you for supporting the Mortgage Coach mission and the Win by Noon community. We will get to your question here in a minute. But Todd, anything you want to unpack around what I said before we go to Greg?
Well, I think you nailed it with the realtor conversation piece, right? I mean, one is it's for you, right? The TCA side is for you. And I loved your sharpening, Dave, of using it on your pre-approval pipeline and calling people. I think that's your part of it. Your part of it is it's one way for you to remind yourself, right? To look up on the wall and see, are these boxes checked or not, right? Am I doing my job? And doing one a day, maybe you challenge yourself and do 2 or 3 a day. It's going to improve your business, right? It's going to make you better, whether you're super experienced or brand new. It's going to make you better, and it's going to create conversations, and those conversations are going to create loans. And then, you nailed it, Dave, on the CMA a day part. It's a realtor conversation, and I'll tell you that realtors don't like business planning and accountability any more than you do, but it's a great opportunity, not only for that at that initial conversation, but it's the follow-up piece, right? It's the storytelling. Hey, right, there was an agent who did this and did a CMA a day and doubled his business, did $11 million. And I mean, that's significant, right? That's somebody who took their income and went from good to great. And you can have that impact on your referral partners, and it gives you a reason to check in. Part of the reason that we don't keep in touch with our referral agents is because we're like, hey, what's up? Got a referral for me? Like, that doesn't feel good. But if you can call them up and say, hey, how you doing on your CMA a day? Then you're helping them grow their business. Oh, and guess what? If they sell another house, guess who may get a loan? You. And so I just always remind that part of it, because I feel like when it comes to the planning, I mentioned that you have a gap. You have a gap from where you are to where you're trying to get by the end of the year. And this is just one more arrow in your quiver to help you get your business there, as well as help your partners get theirs there.
So guys, I am just doing a schedule for next Friday at 9 o'clock for our mastermind. I don't think we have another guest, and I'm going to call it Realtor Meeting Scripts and Conversations for July of 2021. So I can assure you, we've talked about planning. We launched a new platform. We're saying, hey, this is a great realtor conversation tool. We'll put a little more meat on the bones and get into that more tactically next week and come with some best practice. Maybe we'll even give you a script on how to have the CMA a day conversation with a realtor, so that we're helping you have a better conversation. Todd and I will also try to find a real world loan officer. So, like both of us, well, I'm not talking to realtors other than interviewing them for the Mortgage Coach community in the Modern Real Estate Summit. Todd is probably still talking to some realtors because his wife has an active branch. He mentors loan officers, but we'll try to bring in someone that's like, they're playing the game. They're an elite mortgage professional. It's closing a lot of business, and they're going to tell you, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm doing it. I can't tell you who that's going to be because we're just launching this. We don't know who's going to I'm buying 30 of these and this is what I'm going to say and do. But we'll come to next week's call with, guys, this is what some ballers are saying and doing, and this is how they're having this conversation. So that is scheduled. Don't miss next Friday's call. Hopefully a ridiculous number of people watching this. You're going to sign up. You're going to represent the Win by Noon community. You're going to buy this awesome platform. Greg Prete, thank you for being the first to say, I'm going to buy 30 of these things. You are currently the biggest purchaser of these. So thank you, brother. So Greg had a question. He said, in the interest of building more referral pillars, can you describe the other two planners you have? He knows about the mortgage planner. He knows about the real estate planner, but he said something, could you tell me about the executive and insurance agent editions?
Sure. So real quick before I do that, just set expectations. These are being printed by the printer right now. So you'll print out the free one that's not nearly as cool, that you'll sit on your desk to track your TCAs until the new one arrives, and call it like 10 days.
Guys, on Tuesday, you'll have the planner. You just won't have it on your wall. And then Todd, when can they get the one to put on the wall?
I think the wall one, I think ideally we'll have them by the end of next week. It could be the beginning of the following week. So I think you'll probably get it in about 10 days. They'll go out
mid-month.
Yeah. So they'll come out. It's just hot off the press. And, from getting feedback from you and Dave Gallegos and others on it. And I will talk to realtors on it. The realtors I talk to are all the Win by Noon users. And so they're all ultra nerdy and they're going to love this. So I'll have a lay down when I talk to people about the CMA a day. But the rest of you, I'd love to hear your stories about how it goes and how you use it to help, grow your business. Love your question, Greg. I appreciate that with regards to the different planners. So the real estate planner, again, most of you don't need to know that. It's literally a loan officer planner, but instead of having things like annual mortgage reviews, it's got CMAs in there. It's got, the same thing, update calls, all the things that a real estate agent needs to do. And think of that the same way for the insurance and the executive planner. The executive planner really is just a sales planner where it strips out mortgage and real estate terms and then adds in recruiting. So I actually have a lot of branch managers who use that one because it's got recruiting metrics in there for people to track recruiting. But really the executive planner is for anyone in sales who wants to connect the dots, right? So the whole point of Win by Noon in recording your activities of your phone calls is, wouldn't it be nice to know how many phone calls do I have to make today in order to hit my goal at the end of the year, and bridge that gap with knowing what's the number of activities I need to do to get there. And so for the executives, it does that same thing. It's doing sales calls and recruiting calls and helping them get there. And then we had a lot of insurance agents who had gotten a hold of the planner from their mortgage partners, and we're just crossing the stuff out and putting in insurance terms. And so we teamed up with a couple of different insurance agents and got their planners pictures of what they were putting in there. And then they were nice enough to put in stuff that, makes no sense to any of us. I don't think I have one behind me here. I don't, but it's got things like, number of policies and X date and all these things that are Greek to me because I'm not an insurance agent, but the insurance agent planner actually has one of our highest renewal rates. They're all in the 90s, gratefully, but that one's almost 100% renewal rate. That they seem to be nerdier apparently than we are. So great question, Greg. I appreciate you asking.
So, and guys, and then I'm always just thinking like, hey, the planner is cool, but how can I use it as an engagement tool? How can I use it to help get a meeting? How can I use it to have a better quality conversation in a meeting? How can I use it so that whether they use the planner or not, I brought leadership and value to an agent, to a CPA, to a financial planner. So for me, I would, have these in my backpack. if I'm going to go meet with a financial advisor, if I'm going to go meet with an executive, I would just have these and just talk about planning. I mean, here's what happens when you have that conversation. First of all, they're impressed with you because, hey, this is a person that's buttoned up, they're professional, they plan. And then if you open up any of these books and you look at the Win by Noon, there's great ideas. There's just good reminders. Even if they're not going to use that planner, they might get an idea. And if you're the one that gave them an idea, you're one step closer to being the one that they give a referral to. The more you wow someone, the more you lead someone, the more value you create for someone, the more referrals you get from that someone. So I would just urge anyone listening to this, great tools, but they're also great engagement tools to create value for your referral partners. So we've only got about 5 minutes left. If there's more questions, let us know. Greg, hopefully you got what you wanted out of that conversation. Anybody listening to this, we are looking for some people to join us next Friday, or maybe you can't join us next Friday, but you can just tell us, hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of these and this is how I'm going to approach it. Just looking for sales and marketing scripts and approaches so that by next week, we're just like, okay, we launched this thing. Now we're getting value. We're bringing it out to the market. Todd, anything? Oh, wait, let's see. Will this be available to view on the Mortgage Coach site? Oh, that was earlier. Sorry. Yeah, I don't see any unanswered questions. Of course, Deborah Donahue always jumped in and says nice things. So, Deborah, for that nice
Deborah
kudos.
Bird.
Deborah Bird, thank you for always being active in this community. Guys, remember, if you're getting value from this conversation, give us a like, whether you're watching this live in Facebook, you're watching this on the YouTube channel, it helps the algorithms. That's how we, Todd and I dedicate these times to create this content to create value. So your like helps us get more distribution. So please like it and share it if it's valuable to you. If it's not valuable to you, no worries. Todd, 3 minutes left.
All right. So let's just kind of let's kind of put a pin in and create an action plan, right? That's always my goal when we get off of these calls. And, again, it's, what I try to teach doesn't need a Win by Noon planner to do it. You just need to have a notebook and schedule some time. And so the first thing you're gonna do is look back at the first half of the year, right? You're gonna look back and look in different areas. You're gonna look in whatever areas are important to you, but I'd be looking at my business. I would be looking at my relationships. And I'd be looking at my personal self, my self-care, because I feel like that is a critical area. If we're not feeling good and great ourselves, we're not gonna have the energy to be great for others and to do our business. And then I'm going to look at my goals, right? I'm going to write them down if I haven't yet, or I'm going to see it. Where am I doing on the goals that I set for the year? And I'm going to look at what's that gap and what's the opportunity. And then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write out my calendar for next week. And I'm serious about that. Write it out. You're writing out your calendar so that you can say, this is what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. You can't fill all that space. You got to have blank spaces, but I would encourage you to dedicate that morning to your TCAs and to your realtor calls that I mentioned, annual mortgage reviews. And then certainly, if you want to do the Win by Noon theme days, I think that's going to get you one step closer to working a reduced schedule and winning by noon. And then figure out what are those gaps? What are the opportunities I have, and make sure they get scheduled. If you know you need to get 6 more realtors and you're not scheduling your realtor calls, guess what? You're going to get to the end of next month and go, gosh, you know what? I don't have any new realtors. And so identify the gap, identify the activities you need to do and get it scheduled. And then just know, as Dave mentioned, right, we're here to serve you guys. Our goal is to have an impact. And so, yeah, it's a product that we're going to sell. Dave hinted at it. We're not going to make very much money selling it for $5 and all of that. But again, I want to get it out there, and there'll be a free version of it. So that way you guys can crush it. I mean, that's really what we show up here every week, week in and week out to help you guys do. And so I want to finish where I started and just say thank you. Thank you to all of you, Win by Noon users, Mortgage Coach, Productivity Mastermind community members, and of course you, Dave, for 4 great years of Win by Noon, and it wouldn't be here without you guys.
Yeah, no, man, so much fun. I think this is our 240th time that we've done this call. And I mean, obviously we've taken, there's been a few weeks where we haven't joined it, but we've done this a lot, guys. Hopefully you got value from today. Thank you everybody for your time and your attention. I am super pumped about keeping this TCA a day conversation for the entire month of July. We'll be talking about it in all of our interviews. Remember, make sure you check out that Dave Gallegos interview from earlier in the week. It'll be in the YouTube channel soon. And this call is a wrap. Have a good one, Todd.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Happy
Take care, everybody. Have an awesome weekend and enjoy the 4th of July.
Go Suns.
Go USA.